You're listening to the PRO Media Network, the next level in entertainment.
Go Tigers, 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 go Tigers.
You're now listening to Tuff Tiger Talk with Big Q and the guys on the Pro Media Network.
What's going on, fam? Thank you for rocking with Tuff Tiger Talk on the PRO Media Network. I'm Big Q chiming at you, and we recapping on this type of Tiger Talk, man. Live, we gonna hit you live with this, man. Tigers get it done in the regular season finale in a major way. Number 2, LSU fighting Tigers get revenge. They exact revenge upon the bust-ass Texas A&M Aggies, 50-7, and repay them suckers back for that bull crap that happened in Texas A&M. We went to several overtime periods, man. It was a fluke. The guy's knee was down, all kind of stuff. They cheated the hell, but we paid them back this time. Anyway, I'd like to thank all y'all for joining us tonight at Tuff Tiger Talk. Let's bring Mozzie 5 in, my co-host. I'm Big Q. Gonna bring in co-host Mozzie 5, our LSU insider and Mr. Everything LSU. Mozzie, how you doing tonight, fam?
What's up?
Everything doing good, fam. LSU complete the regular season perfect, man. They
should.
They wiped out everybody. They finished a perfect 12-0 on the season, 8-0 in conference play. Absolutely beautiful. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to do stats, facts, and breakdowns. We have several interviews we're going to play for you. First up the bat, we're going to hit you with Clavion's Chasing, followed by Jamal Chase and several other LSU Tigers celebrating a huge win in this one. 50-7 shellacking of Texas A&M in Death Valley. And Joe Burrow was spectacular in this game as well. He set the single-season passing record Saturday night in Death Valley, eclipsing the mark by Tim Couch in 98, beating him out. Now, he's playing in the final home game, the second-ranked Tigers. He broke Couch's 4,275 yards, which he had with an 11-yard completion to Clyde. That was Hilaire in the third quarter. He entered the game with 4,014 yards, and he broke it. He's also leading. He's clearly the front runner, man. When you breaking regular season records like you are, 4,200 plus yards that on Couches, you most certainly looking at winning the Heisman when you start doing stuff like that. So I think he's a shoo-in to get that if he ain't out. He also tied the SEC single season passing record of 44 touchdowns, which was set by Missouri's Drew Lock in 2017. So Joe Burrow continues to pile up the stats, but he's a mature guy, and the only thing he cares about is just really winning rings. This was a spectacular win, 50-7. We knew LSU had it on their mind to go in there and take apart this team. They wasn't playing no game. You could see Coach O was just really focused on, being disciplined the entire game. Even toward the back end of the game, he was getting on players, telling them to do their job, really focused. Coach O taking it super serious this year, man. What are your thoughts on LSU getting the best of Texas A&M to finish undefeated in the regular season?
Oh, man. Again, I cannot say enough about the performance of LSU today. I think it was a well-deserved performance, and I mean, A&M, it wouldn't have been like that, man. But I mean, y'all really gotta thank the BCS committee because they fired LSU up, man. I tell you, they lit a candle under their ass, man. That was of epic proportion. LSU came out. I mean, we always knew they were a dominant team, but like, man, as we talked about the pregame about the defense having to step up, man. My God, that was probably, I would dare to say, especially against a conference-ranked opponent, I would dare to say that was probably the most complete game they played all season on both sides of the ball. You got to realize, man, both Hilaire and Burrow came out with plenty of time left up in the game. They could have ran it up damn near what the score was last year But on the flip side, A&M wouldn't have had nowhere near what they had last year. It was one of the most easy, it was masterful on offense, masterful on defense, and it's what we needed especially going into the SEC championship with that full head of steam. Everybody, I think everybody's bought and sold in on LSU, as if there should have been anybody that wasn't bought or sold in on them. I think at this point everybody's bought and sold in on them. So Ohio State, Clemson, I think y'all need to, buckle up and get ready because it's going to be a wild ride going into the playoffs.
In this one, LSU played, with, like you said, masterful performance. 31 first downs versus Texas A&M 12. They were 4 out of 11 on third down versus 2 of 13 for Texas A&M. 553 total yards versus 169 yards by Texas A&M. Passing yards 425 to 97 passing yards. Amazing. They was just spectacular. Rushing the ball, 128 yards rushing as a whole for LSU versus 72 by Texas A&M. Of course, the penalties was up as well. 9 penalties for 61 yards versus Texas A&M for 9 for LSU for 72 yards. 3 turnovers against Texas A&M in a time of possession, 34-38 versus 25-22 by Texas A&M. So the statistics, even sometimes they don't necessarily state the whole truth, but in this scenario, it was so incredibly lopsided that it just went right along with everything else. Now, before we get into the individual accolades and the stats and get into the rest of the information, let's hear what some of the players had to say. Here's Clavion Chasen talking about how number 2 ranked LSU took it personal.
We talking mess.
All right, there was a lot of talk about the defense needing to step up. What do you think about how you guys performed tonight?
I feel like it was a great job by the defense. I feel like we still didn't finish the game how we wanted to finish. We got ways to go still, but one thing about being a great defense, you have to be consistent. You can't peekaboo. You can't just come and go. So we had a great game this game. It needs to carry over to the next game.
When the playoff committee, says defense is the main reason why Ohio State was number 1, what's your guys' reaction to that?
It hit us hard. It was personal. Coach O, he kept preaching too much about not being into that. But there's so much you can block out. We take that personal. There's too many great guys on this defense and high caliber guys that's ranked in an elite level here. So to know that we know personally that we wasn't producing we like to, but just be consistent disrespect throughout the season. We make sure we're personal in this game to prove people wrong and prove to ourselves that we're the dominant defense we need to be.
And when you combine, last year's A&M game, then you add that into it. How much of this game you guys really wanted to, make a statement?
It was more so for ourselves. We knew that we were the better team just regardless of what the better offense, the better defenses overall. I feel like them guys haven't been having a great year, but they was going to play as hard regardless of what the case may be. But we tried to make sure that we opposed our will and we made sure that they knew and we knew as well that we were the better team.
Clavion Chasen, man. Clavion Chasen laying it out, man. Strong case. Like how the young brother talking. Was really, really, really solid effort by the defense of the LSU Tigers. And speaking of Clavion, he was the lights out man on defense. He's had 6 total tackles in the game, in a sack and a half, a tackle and a half for loss. So he was spectacular in this game. He led the effort. He was putting pressure on them all night, knocking around Kellen Mond all day. He forced the defense forced him into 3 interceptions, held him to less than 100 yards, to be precise, 92 yards off of 10 or 30 throwing. That's absolutely insane. LSU just took the guy and spun him and all into the tailspin. It was awesome with it. So that's the great thing I'm hearing by the defense, because it was the talk about the defense not being as good as it was versus what happened with the Ole Miss game and then some of the stuff with the Arkansas game. So this was a very stellar effort by the defense to kind of make sure that they placed the stamp to the rest of the committee out there and let them know, man, I don't care what you say. We are a team that's here to play. And there's so much disrespect as far as LSU concerned. Before we get into the rest of the interviews, let's go down some of the offensive statistics of the day. Joe Burrow, 23 of 32, 352 yards, 3 touchdowns. He averaged 11 yards per throw. That's over a first down every time he threw the damn ball. Spectacular. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 18 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown, just under a 5-yard per carry average. Other guys got into it. Terrion Davis Price had a pretty good rushing day. I mean, what a balanced day for him. 7 carries for 24 yards, had a score as well. Chris Curry got involved, 4 carries for 15 yards. Joey Burrow scrambled 6 times for 9 yards. John Emery Jr., 2 carries for 4 yards in the matchup. The receiving game for LSU, Jamar Chase, who we got queued up to come up next, he had 7 catches for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game. He averaged 28 yards per catch. Racey McMath, 2 catches for 67 yards and a score on the day. Justin Jefferson, the compliment for Jamar Chase, had a nice day as well. 6 catches for 55 yards and a score, averaged just over 9 yards a catch. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 4 catches for 49 yards. Terrace Marshall Jr., 3 catches for 34. Derek Dillon had 2 for 17 in the matchup, and Terrion Davis Price had 1 catch for 6 yards in the matchup. So, like I said, Clavon Chasen was the dude. He had 6 tackles, a sack and a half in the game. Patrick Queen and Damone Clark, along with Kerry Vincent Jr., all had 4 tackles. Christian Fulton, Grant Delpit, Derek Stingley Jr. all had 3 tackles in the matchup. And then several LSU Tigers, Baskerville, Fehoko, Logan Stevens, Maurice Hampton Jr., and Marcel Brooks all had a couple of tackles. And Brooks even had a half a sack in the game. So Queen also had a sack. Damone Clark also had a sack. So did Rashard Lawrence, and Neil Farrell Jr. also had a sack. 6 total sacks in the game for the LSU Tigers defense. They were crawling. They forced 3 interceptions. Jacoby Stevens, Grant Delpit, and Kerry Vincent Jr. all with picks in the game. Cade York finished 2 of 2 and 6 of 6 with extra points. Zach Von Rosenberg, the Baron, he had 4 punts for 175 yards in the matchup. So that's LSU, what they turned out overall. And we're going to let Five chime in with his thoughts. But first, let's hear what Jamar Chase had to say about them blowing out Texas A&M.
You good, bud?
Jamar, how good does it feel to finish this thing off 12-0 and playing level of football you are playing?
It feels good. We go back to practice, fix a couple of things and get back to work. That's all I'm worried about, to be honest.
Is there no satisfying this team?
Nah, there's no finish line for us.
Why is it?
We have one goal and we have yet to accomplish it. So as soon as we do, that'll be our finish line, I guess.
Do you think you'll be satisfied if y'all win the national championship?
We should be, maybe more.
Jamar, were you impressed about the love given to Joe tonight there, pre-game, post-game there? Just your thoughts on everything that Joe got today?
Yeah, I actually was. Joe coming off the field, he was kind of tearing up. I was trying to mess with him, saying, "You better not cry." So, who wouldn't cry about this moment? It's a Tiger Stadium. We'll cry too.
Jamar, coming out of Kyle Field last year, if you had thought about this game tonight, is this what you would have wanted right here?
Yes, a blowout, of course. Yes, that's exactly what we wanted last year.
Jamar, there's a lot of talk about maybe there be some pushing and shoving emotions too high. There didn't seem to be any of that. You guys were collected and just focused on what you had to do.
Yeah, that's the only thing we had on our minds. Not biting into the shenanigans and nothing like that. Keeping a focused head out there, just playing our game.
You're a New Orleans kid. You know what kind of love that Louisiana has for people, whether it's football or family or food. Joe got to experience that from an outsider's perspective. Yeah. You guys ever talk about adopting him as like a Louisiana dude? Is it?
Nah, actually you can't. When it's cold outside and we all complaining at practice, Joe's just sitting there like it's regular for him. I know we had a windy practice. It was cold outside, and Joe's out there relaxing, and all the rest of the receivers over there shivering, cold as hell.
Tell us about the 78-yard touchdown.
Say that again?
The 78-yard touchdown, the pass that Joe threw, and just that whole play.
Actually, we missed that route the first time, so we came back to it and hit it. So I'm glad Joe had a big enough arm to throw it down the field.
There'll be some people that'll say that no matter what, you're in the playoff at this point. But Coach Joe said he's not buying it. Neither did Joe. How hungry are you guys to win a conference championship?
I don't know how hungry we are, but I know we're just not worrying about nothing. We're just worrying about the next game ahead of us. Going back and looking at this film, having a 24-hour rule, and just going on to the next team opponents.
Did you see the jersey he wore to the senior night celebration? Burrow spell with the EA.
I didn't see it. I wanted to see it. I seen it. I looked at his jersey after the game. I was trying to ask him what his jersey was, but he told me this week he was going to do that.
But Jamar, do you look at the numbers ever on the stats and be like 197? You had a 200+ game. I mean, you get a second to just reflect on. Man, that's pretty freaking good number.
I mean, all the receivers, we try to accomplish something like that. But during the game, we really have no clue what we have until probably halftime. One of the coaches might walk up to us. One of the young coaches might walk up to us and say what we have. But other than that, we really don't worry about that.
Lamar, have you guys impressed yourselves with the efficiency of this offense? Like scoring in the red zone, there's only 2 times that you guys haven't scored when you've been in the red zone, and just how quickly you're able to score.
We realized how good we were at the beginning of the year, actually. So, once the end of the year came, we know what we had to do once we got in the red zone. We know we have to work on our scramble drills, and it's the simple things that make us better, and that's what we work on.
Ja'Marr Chase, but very special, one of the special 2 wide receivers LSU's had. A very special offense. Ja'Marr Chase and Jefferson, along with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Moss. And, just these guys are very special offense, how it's run. LSU blown away its competition and looking ahead, and Georgia's on the horizon in the matchups. But Five, you heard what Ja'Marr Chase said. You heard what Clavion Chasen said. You heard the statistics. What do you think about everything the young guys bring it to the table and their mentality moving ahead?
Well, Chase obviously is a phenomenal talent. And that Burrow Chase 1-2 combo is it's pretty unstoppable. Chase is arguably one of the better receivers and definitely in the NCAA. And in the SEC is probably I would dare to say top 2-3. Helaire, he's put up phenomenal numbers this year, and he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. A real undersized guy, kind of thick, built like an old school running back, if that makes sense to you. Mm-hmm. He's not you got 2 types of running backs nowadays. You got the real small, fast, quick guy, almost like an Alvin Kamara. And then you got like the big bruiser backs, your Mark Ingrams, your just those guys. And you got this guy, like kind of right in between those guys. He kind of reminds me of Darren Sproles, in regards of he can run in between the tackles, or he can take it outside. It really doesn't matter. And he runs with just this insane tenacity. He's not going to go down. And that can only come from playing with a chip on your shoulder. That can only come from being told you can't do something. You're too small, or you're not the fastest guy, or you're not tall enough, or whatever the case may be. Being told that for so long, and then actually having a chance to play on a national scale for one of the premier programs in the country, and you have nothing else to do but prove everybody wrong, and you kind of see that translate. Same thing with Moss. His road has been kind of long, and obviously, as with other young players whose fathers were or NFL type athletes like Randy Moss was. Obviously one of the best receivers we've ever seen in the NFL. And for his son to have to come out and kind of make his own way, it's kind of tough at times. I would dare to say he's going to always kind of live in his dad's shadow. And, he stepped it up over the last couple games. And, believe me, between the injury and him having to sit out a year, it's well deserved. And I'm really glad to see all of these young kids get an opportunity to play for such a good program over at LSU. And that's just the mentality from Coach Ogeron, who had to come on as an interim coach, as a replacement killer, if you will. And he had to kind of earn his spot. And then to be almost immediately put on notice that, okay, we're going to give you a shot, but if you can't beat Alabama with a prescribed amount of time, you're out of here. No other coach. You look at Les Miles, you look at Nick Saban when he was coaching LSU. You could probably go back as far as Jerry DiNardo. No coach is kind of put on blast like that. And I don't know if it was his stint in Ole Miss, and it kind of carried over, and he had a stigma of maybe being like a player's coach. But again, it takes all kind of different coaches. I mean, Les Miles was a player's coach, but Les Miles was, a guy that wanted like pure kind of, more hands-on control over the entire situation, as opposed to Coach O. Coach O is gonna get his team revved up. He's gonna get everybody riled up for the game, and I mean that's just what it is, and he does that. Besides that, being a pretty good recruiter, you gotta understand. Even at Ole Miss, remember the movie Blindside? He recruited. He was a top recruiter, always has been. That was one of his strong suits. And in the college game, it's kind of all you need. You bring in the pieces around, you can surround everybody. But from top to bottom, man, Coach O to Joey B to Moss to Chase to Belair, all of these guys had something to prove when they took the field this year, and they translated to a 12-0 record.
Yeah, it was a spectacular union. It was building since last year. I got to agree upon that. I mean, the losses to Florida and the Swamp, and then the Texas A&M loss toward the end of the season kind of was the fuel, the fire that helped propel his team. And then the major elephant in the room, literally and figuratively, was taking down the elephant, the Crimson Tide, like they did in Tuscaloosa. So I mean, this season was, we knew once they were rolling and they took out 4 top 10 teams, that LSU, this team was something special, not to mention the various records that was broken. Burrow finished the game with 352 passing yards, 3 touchdowns with no interceptions, and he's going to be entering the SEC championship game with 4,000 366 passing yards with 44 touchdowns. Now, last week against Arkansas, he became the first player in SEC history to record 40,000 passing yards and 40 touchdowns in a season. He broke LSU's single season passing record of 33-47 against Ole Miss. So he just continues to pile the records up and get more and more accolades. Now, before we continue to take a little brief look at Georgia moving ahead, here's Jacoby Stevens talking about his performance against Texas A&M. Here we go.
Basically a message to y'all that Ohio State's more complete. I think that their defense was better. Did y'all take that as a challenge, or maybe focus on that a little bit?
Oh yeah, we definitely took that as a challenge. I mean, although you try not to pay attention to all this stuff, but I mean, when you look Wednesday morning and you see that you're number 2, you wonder why you're number 2 after you're undefeated and been doing good all year. What's the reason for LSU being number 2? And that's what they said. They said that, Ohio State is a complete team. And, when you look at them, they have been a complete team. They're a good team, and they're dominating in their schedule. But for us, we took that as a challenge, that we need to have a complete game and we need to play for 60 minutes. And I feel like we did that today.
Coach O talks about the LSU standard. Do you think the defense finally played to that tonight?
Yeah, I think we did. Other than that one big play they had, they basically ran a fence concept. And our linebacker kind of lost his eyes, and the running back came out on the wheel. And they caught the ball and went down for a big gain, and they kind of scored on the drive. But other than that, they really didn't have that much. They got pressure on the quarterback. We were +3 in the turnovers, and we did a good job defensively, I think.
How good does it feel to keep a team to just a mere below 200 yards?
I mean, it feels good when when the team averages as much yards as they do, and you hold them to less of that. It always feels good because you dominate the game. You take over the game, and you make somebody do something. You make somebody do something they don't want to do, and that always feels good. Jacoby
Stevens, that's a mouthful breaking it down, man, about how they picked Ohio State to be the top team in there, and they basically, looking at the fact that he's saying LSU's defense allowing a certain amount of points and all this kind of nonsense. And I really despise that. Even though the polls actually got it right with LSU at the top, these are the college playoff polls that's deciding the position. There's too many stupid polls, man, and we just need a real playoff system and not just 4 crap games. I think they really need to, and this is just me talking, I think they really need to mimic the Division II. Division II has a straight-up playoff system. And for whatever corny-ass reason, they just keep doing this political junk. But anyway, looking at the defense, like the young safety, Jacoby Stevens was saying, he had a couple of tackles in this game, and he was representing a lot of the emotional balance for the team. But if you look at him, he also had an interception in the matchup. They finished with 6 sacks on mound, 3 interceptions. They were all over him, man. You couldn't ask for a better performance from LSU defense, and they still have a chip on their shoulder. Even though they're going to beat Georgia in the SEC championship. They're going to go into the college playoff with a chip on their shoulder because everybody's saying that Clemson and Ohio State could beat LSU. I don't know what planet these people are from, but they have the audacity to formulate such foolish and dumb decisions. But anyway, you heard what Jacoby Stevens saying, kind of looking ahead at the upcoming SEC championship. Georgia is up next. We did have a few teams. Ohio State, by the way, they took care of business against Michigan again, 56-27. In that matchup, Clemson destroyed South Carolina 38-3. That's no surprise there. Georgia 52-7 over against Georgia Tech, 52-7 in their matchup. So we get in Georgia with Jake Fromm, who threw 4 touchdowns on 254 yards, 14-29 in that matchup. Spanning ahead, just a quick, we ain't going to do a brief one because we're going to do a whole show on the SEC championship game coming up next week. But what are your thoughts, just your brief thoughts, looking ahead at the matchup against Georgia in the SEC championship?
Well, just to touch on those games that you just went over, you forgot about one very important game to go along with all those other trash games. I think you forgot about St. Aug versus Kenilworth. Because, I mean, that's the level of – do you realize if you go back and just repeat the cast of characters that you just mentioned, all of those teams are absolute just trash. But these are the teams that the committee, I mean, with the exception of Michigan, I guess. But you look at Clemson's victory over South Carolina, and you look at you look at these teams, man. I just don't understand what they're looking at. But I mean, then you got like a Utah team, number 6, going forward. They definitely cracked the top 5. But they're undefeated. They're overlooked as well. But they play the same level of low competition as everybody else. So I guess it's tomato, potato, whatever. But going forward to the Georgia game in the SEC championship, LSU has to keep in mind that this is going to be in Atlanta. So this is essentially a home game for Georgia. So they gotta come out and dominate. Georgia did get kind of banged up in that victory against Georgia Tech today. A couple key players came up with some injuries. I mean, I'll take it any way I can get it at this point. The number 14 is still a number 14, So they've got to be able to adapt and step up and handle business. Obviously, we saw Alabama couldn't do that today. But, I mean, that was still a remarkable game by their future quarterback going forward. I think the defense just kind of bottom fell out of the defense. And that's what in essence, ended this season. They're still going up bowl game, but going forward, Georgia has got to, for LSU to beat Georgia, they got to kind of the same method they did with Texas A&M. They got to come out, they got to dominate. They can't let the stage be too big for them. And I think this is where the Texas and Alabama and A&M and Florida, I think this is where all of those games against Auburn and all of those ranked opponents is going to come out and play because LSU's been here before. I'm just being honest. Georgia's offense is left to be desired. I mean, they got a very stringent defense, hell of a defense, but their offense, it's not the best in the world. But you can't tell me an LSU Tiger team playing Alabama with Tua at the helm at that time, you can't tell me that Alabama team is not stronger than the Georgia Bulldogs. And we went in and took care of them. I think, to be honest, everybody in the West, the top 2 contenders in the West outside of LSU being Auburn and Alabama, I think both of those teams are better than Florida and Georgia. This is my opinion. Although Auburn did suffer a loss to Florida, if I'm not mistaken, early in the season. At this point, I think that Gus Malzahn has turned that program around. You saw what they were able to do Alabama today, as far, especially from an offensive output. I think that Auburn and Alabama are better than Georgia or Florida coming out of the East. But on the flip side, because we don't see Georgia in seasonal play all that often, we only see them if we happen to go against them in the championship. It's not like Florida. We see Florida every year. We don't see Georgia like that every year. So we got to kind of keep that in the back of our minds and say, okay, well, We may not be. This isn't Auburn. This isn't Alabama. This isn't Florida. This isn't A&M. This is not a team that we see once a year. So we got to keep that in the back of our minds. And moving forward, we have to not give them a chance to pull one out again. In essence, at home, playing in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which they stole that from us too. But I'm about to another show. And they got to just keep their eye on the prize and understand this is for their destiny. It will be a travesty. It will be a shame to erase all of the stats they put up, all of the obstacles they've overcome, all of the haters and the naysayers that said they couldn't change the expressions on their faces. It would be a travesty to allow all that to go down the drain because you were ill prepared and didn't have your head in the game against Georgia. But that's how this game of football is played. That's why it's so emotional. It's not basketball or baseball where you could have a bad game in a 7-game series and still come out and win. It's one and done. So next week, the 12-0 season doesn't matter. You're playing for your life from each and every game on out because there's no do-overs.
Very true. To be Georgia's third straight appearance in the SEC title game. 3 straight appearances in the SEC title game. And, there's history between LSU and Georgia meeting in the SEC title game, and a lot of it's positive for LSU. Now, looking at just a brief insight on some of the players for Georgia that they really was counting on for the season. Star running back DeAndre Swift was knocked out with a shoulder injury, although they said that he should be ready to go against LSU. So he'll be dinged up. We don't know how that's actually going to play, but that's serious because he helps move the pile. Freshman wide receiver George Pickens, who's really big, who's a pretty nice addition to their offense, didn't play in the first half because of the issues. He was ejected for throwing a punch at the Georgia Tech player, which means that he possibly, depending on what it is, he's going to miss half of the LSU game. So DeAndre Swift, their star running back, coming in this one with a shoulder injury, and Pickens, who some say is their best wideout, will be missing the entire first half of the SEC championship. So that says a lot about the upcoming matchup as well, as the LSU 12-0 heads into it. Number 2 in the nation, 12-0 against Georgia, number 4 in the nation at 11-1. And like Five said, it's definitely, most certainly, going to be a home game, no doubt about it, as far as that's concerned. So, it's, at Five, this matchup between Georgia, man, and I don't want to get too far into it because obviously we're going to do a full show where we break down the history of Georgia and LSU. And the fact, it's just a different feel from LSU. How Coach O, you can look at how the coaches are focused, with laser focus and discipline the players, not letting them get out of control toward the end of this game, not knowing that they're up, just routing this team 50-7. Letting the guys celebrate, but at the same time, you've seen Coach O telling guys to do their job and focus and, stay under control. Don't lose your cool. We don't lead. And he was being mindful of it because I'm pretty sure he heard about the ejection, the fight that happened with Georgia, and the fact that we don't need Texas A&M players getting our players excited or cheap shots like what happened when the guy grabbed Joey Burrow by the scruff of his shoulder pads and dragged him down early in the game. That was a dangerous move, but that's what kind of stuff bottom-feeding teams do. And can I tell you, LSU's a champion, man, behind Joey Burrow, who got all the records, and then several key LSU players all looking at records as well, looking at trophies. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's in that. Jamar Chase. It's a very special unit we have this year. Well, anyway, LSU completes the regular season destroying all its competition, including Alabama. They finished number 2, 12-0, 8-0 in conference play. They handle business. Now, next up, the SEC championship game against the number 4th ranked Georgia Bulldogs. That's coming up next weekend, and we're gonna cover it here. We'll have the preview coming up next week. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining Tough Tiger Talk. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Please feel free to hit the like button and share the show. And from me and Mozzie 5, thank you for joining us. Go Tigers.
Homebistro.com. Go Tigers. I'll catch y'all next week.
Home delivered restaurant quality gourmet meals delivered straight to your home. Choose from over 50 plus gourmet meal options cooked by world-class chefs and delivered frozen, ready to eat within minutes and no commit. Welcome to the One Shop Gourmet Food Delivery, specializing affordable options to eat right and feel great. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Every ingredient is handpicked to the highest standard. And why you should buy from homebistro.com? Restaurant quality made with natural ingredients delivered right to your door. Overnight shopping is available. Diabetic, paleo, heart health, and vegetarian options to eat. Doing business since 1999. Courteous, knowledgeable, and professional support. Complete PCI compliant SSL security ordering and great meals. Choose from some of my favorite dishes: the Mediterranean chicken with orange honey sauce, the charbroiled chicken romesco, or the grilled chicken breast with sweet and spicy vegetables. No matter what you choose, you can't lose with homebistro.com. Eat great, feel good, and save some money with homebistro.com. Hit the link in the description section below for more information.
I'm a Saints and Pelicans fan, so the only podcast I can get my fix is The Sports Coma with Big Q. The guy's intense, funny, and they always keep it real.
Check out The Sports Coma with Big Q and the guys.
TheWhoThatDaily.com. That's right, TheWhoThatDaily.com. Your one-stop shop for everything New Orleans Saints, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU Tigers, and even the top flight boxing news. So if you're a Who That and you're looking for a place to stay up on your team, TheWhoThatDaily.com is your site. TheWhoThatDaily.com for the sport Who That in all of us. Embrace Pet Insurance is more than just pet insurance. Embrace Pet Insurance promises to provide genuine support and certainty when your pet needs it the most. With personalized accident and illness policies, compassionate customer care, 24/7 access to veterinary professionals, flexible wellness plans, timely claims processing, and online customer portals, their values is what makes them Embrace. So, when selecting a pet insurance company as a partner in your pet's care, you deserve a company that has your pet's best interests at heart. Get top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Up to 90% back on bills at any vet, total protection, pet insurance and wellness, and dependable claims payments. Get the top-rated and reviewed coverage for your pet today. Go to EmbracePetInsurance.com. That's EmbracePetInsurance.com. Check the link in the description section below.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.